All right, everybody. I'm here with Bre, and Bre has made an incredible transformation. And she's only been working out with me for what, like 9 months, 10 months, something like that, if that.
It's like 6 or 7. 7.
Okay, so with that being said, I want her to tell you her story because Bre, when you first came to me, your main concern was mental health with the nutrition because I believe you told me before in the past that you struggled with being way too hard on yourself and then kind of just falling off the wagon. Is that right?
Yeah, it was the balance was the biggest struggle for me.
So talk a little bit about what that was like before coming to me and trying to figure out the routine. What were you struggling with and why wasn't it working?
Well, like I said, I struggled a lot with the balance because my main struggle with my health and fitness was mainly after COVID. So before COVID, I was living in a city where I was walking to work every day. I wasn't even really active going to the gym or doing that, like formal fitness activity, but I was just walking a lot and moving around. And for work, I would walking miles and miles a day. And then when COVID happened, I just pretty quickly per year was gaining like 5 to 7 pounds, and I wanted to combat that. So I started doing powerlifting, I started doing hot yoga, I started running, and working remotely did not help with that because I was sitting a lot and I didn't have a lot of motivation or ability to go out and do those physical things with other people, like going to the gym or going to classes or whatnot. But I just I would say, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow doing XYZ. And I could sustain that for maybe like a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I wasn't able to sustain it anymore, I would just completely fall off. So it's like I was either eating clean and working out every day, or I was eating takeout for every meal. And I couldn't break out of that because I was living in cities where I had to fly to see my family, and I'm very close with my family. So I was traveling constantly and I just couldn't find a groove.
So what made you reach out for help?
Was a very particular moment. I was in Philadelphia for a conference in July. I had been on the move, I had been traveling all summer, and I didn't really even think that much about what I was packing. I just threw a bunch of clothes in my bag. I was going for work, so I was going to a conference, and I just threw a bunch of dresses in my bag that were from pre COVID times.
Yeah.
And then I got to Philly, and none of them fit me.
So you're like, now's the time.
Yeah, and I had to like stop what I was doing and go shopping. I had to like go to Nordstrom, and so it's costing me time and money. And I want to be really clear, like I had gained weight in COVID and I wasn't as fit as I wanted to be, but I loved my body. I liked how I looked. But the results of my habits were becoming really inconvenient. I couldn't even pack for a trip without trying my clothes on first because they didn't fit me. And then when I got there, I had to stop what I was doing to go get clothes that would fit me. And when I got back from Philly, I think I reached out to you the next day.
Yeah. And when you reached out to me, when we were first talking about nutrition, my main thing was like, let's just take it one tiny step at a time. That way, in the long run, when you feel comfortable with your nutrition, you can stick to it versus
Mhm.
pounding a nutrition plan. Why was that successful for you?
I think because it's been more of an incremental approach. So in the beginning, my carb intake, for example, you had it pretty high. So I could pretty manageably transition to that. And then after about 2 months, when we did my measurements and I had some good results, you pull them down slightly and then protein up a little more. And then we've continued that pattern through like now, 6 or 7 months in. Um, I also have never been as hungry as I am on this workout plan because what I was doing before was not really building a lot of muscle.
Mhm.
So getting the protein in and like hitting the numbers was not difficult because I was really, really hungry from lifting so many weights and doing so many squats. And so I just needed those calories. And it wasn't difficult for me to not choose something that was like not nutritious or not good for me
Yep.
because I didn't want that because I needed fuel. And
Yep.
so it was very incremental. And then also on the nutrition plan that you advise, it's like once or twice a week, you can kind of eat what you want.
Yep.
And so what I would do is just always focus on the next thing. So like on Sunday, I'm like, let me just make it to the gym tomorrow and not think about 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now.
Yep.
And then when it came to nutrition, I was like, well, let me just hit my numbers every day this week. And then on Saturday, if I want to go to Parkway Poorhouse and have a burger and a Sprite, I will do that. And half the time I didn't want it because I felt very satiated. So I was
Yep.
just kind of focusing on a little bit more of short-term goals,
Yep.
and that's worked a lot better because the bigger goal is so it feels too big, like you can't
Yeah.
tackle it.
And one thing that I mentioned from the very beginning, I said, stay off of the scale. The
Yeah.
only thing we care about are inches.
Yeah.
Well, you ended up stepping on the scale anyways, and you lost. I think you said you're down like 20 pounds or something. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like maybe, yeah, somewhere around there right now, like 22, 22, 23.
And down, I don't have your numbers put up, but like 10 inches or so.
Yeah, overall, probably 10 or 11 inches, and like five of those are on my waist
And
alone.
that's the main thing is like you look completely different than from when you
Yeah.
first came to the gym. Now, your body now compared to then, like you send me pictures and you're like, hey, I just bought new clothes. I couldn't fit in these and however long ago.
Yeah.
What is the emotional state of trying on new clothes that you have to go down in sizes? What is that like for you mentally?
I mean, it's just an affirmation that I'm going in the right direction because so many times before when I was just focusing on a cardio or I was just focusing on, weightlifting, I didn't really know 100% what I was doing. I was just kind of guessing. When I was focusing on just one type of exercise, I wasn't, first of all, eating the amount of protein that I'm eating now, and I wasn't doing it as consistently. And so so when I like the jeans I'm wearing right now, I ordered these as like an inspo size like 3 months ago, and now they're too big on me. And
Dang.
so I keep going down, and then every time I do that, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going in the right direction. And I also think about something I've been really intentional about is whether I've weighed or we do measurements and I get good results, I will then reflect on all the things I still did that I really enjoyed. I went out for cocktails with my girlfriends. I had a public sub.
Mm-hmm.
I had sushi. I had pizza. And I'll think about the times that previously that would have really stressed me out that I did those things. But it's like I'm going in the right direction. I only work out with you twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, I go to yoga once or twice, but it's a lot of stretching and balance. I'm not lifting weights and doing cardio. So whenever I'm having those experiences, I also think about these are the things I was able to do and enjoy, and I didn't have to cut those things out of my life to get this result. And that's been really, and sometimes I'll journal about it so I can like like put it down and reflect on it later if I
Yeah,
need to.
I absolutely love that. Now, for an individual that say if someone was like in your shoes before they like started training, what would you tell you a year ago? Like if you were sitting on the edge and you're like, should I start with a program? Should I start with nutrition? What would you tell yourself? What would be the best advice you could tell yourself?
I would tell myself that it's okay to offload that responsibility mentally because I think like I'm a very achievement and goal oriented person. I think you've seen that in the last 6 months, and I try to do everything myself. So if I want to get like personally, professionally, any goal I have, I'm like, I know I can do that. And so whenever I would go to tackle something like a fitness program or nutrition, I had all this mental labor of like, let me put together a nutrition plan. Let me figure out what I'm going to do for my workouts. And I just got to a point like on my Philly trip where I was just like, I just need to go to a gym and show up and someone tell me what to do. And once I accepted that I could do it myself, but I didn't have the capacity at that time, and I just accepted that I didn't have the capacity to do it. So it's okay to offload it. It's okay to give it to someone else and let them help you.
Plus, you have the way I put it is like for me, like in business or in just like my spiritual life, I'm like, I need a group of people around me that's holding me accountable to this standard. That
Yeah.
way, I'm pushing myself to get here
Yeah.
versus if we're doing it on our own, we kind of just get here and we're kind of complacent. So I like to have that person that's above me that's like, okay, let's get here, let's get here, let's get here. And
Yeah.
there'll be times where we maintain, like we're in a maintenance phase right now. I'm like, hey, let's focus on just chilling. Let's
Yeah.
chill for a few months, and then when you're ready, we hit it again. But
Yeah.
overall, Bree, fantastic job. That's the end
Thank
of the
you.
podcast. Um, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I'm gonna press pause.